other album that I want to point out that you did something of, and should be given a lot of credit, is the Jan Holbrook project. Though that first album, The Sense of Time, was put out in 2011, which was also a very one that you did have some writing listed, but that you should get more credit for.
Well, I did co-write that album, that first album. Absolutely, I don't know what he did with it, but absolutely co-wrote at least the songs that I've been on.
Yes.
So, and that kind of helped break Jan into a different market. We were just in Norway, and I got a big hi hello from him, so that's nice to see that he's still working. I think he's working with Tony Carey, which is cool.
Yeah.
But to me, either way, yeah, it was a good album. It was a different type of sound, and it gives me an opportunity to stretch out.
Stretch out your vocals, in other words, huh?
Different style.
Yeah, definitely. I also noticed that there were, on going back to Sunstorm, I noticed that there were different musicians that were used as compared to the first three Sunstorm recordings.
Correct.
Who are the musicians playing on this latest record?
Well, in order to get their names properly, I think you should look on the jacket, on the inner sleeve, because they were all Italian musicians. I know Simone's on guitar and a few of the other guys, but you should really get their names straight right off of the inner sleeve.
Okay.
And Alessandro Devecchio, of course, producing and playing keyboards. They were fantastic musicians, handpicked by Alessandro. He couldn't have done a better job, and he couldn't have played a better record. We were trying to get this thing to go live, and we're talking to Frontiers Records about doing a small tour, 10, 12 cities. And they suggested that we just do a DVD in Milan, set up in a theater, etc. So we're still working on that particular idea. It may happen, it may not happen, but we love it so much that we would want to get out and play live for the people. And plus, we have 4 albums, Sunstorms, so we have plenty of material to choose.
Absolutely.
It'd be amazing.
Absolutely. Particularly, I mean, one of my favorites was House of Dreams. Emotional Fire had had some of its things in there. It wasn't my favorite of the 4.
I either.
But House of Dreams had a lot of, it's Because I Found Love was on there. And then the first album that was released 10 years ago, and in September, and I can't believe it's been 10 years since you've done this project.
Yeah. The first 2 albums I submitted quite a few songs to that I wrote, and as the third one came along with Emotional Fire, they started to get the idea that I should do covers for people that I sang on their albums, like Cher and Michael Bolton and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I think we kind of dropped the ball, which is why when it came to doing another Sunstorm, I demanded complete control over all songwriting and choice of songs. That's really, I think, it also helped which make this album great. That we just didn't leave it up in the air. We really took full control of it. And that was a struggle between us and the record company, but we won. And I think the fans win because the album came out absolutely terrific. And it's a point that you have to really fight for because, of course, record companies think they know what's best. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
Why is that? Why do the Japanese and Europeans get so lucky and get added tracks on a lot of the versions?
They pay for it, apparently. That's why.
I see.
If you follow the money, it'll always come down to that. Record companies say, okay, we'll give you the licensing for it, but they'll turn around and say, well, we need an extra song to make our really special. And that's how that works out.
Sure, and then you have people like me going and buying them. So, hey, it's all good. It's all good. Yes.
Follow the money.
Yep, I suppose. Well, I always believe in making sure that the artists are taken care of, and so it's just always been that way. As a freelance.
I don't get them for it. No. I don't get the money.
Oh, you don't? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just let me correct that. They didn't pay me for it. This is a deal they make with the record companies. Record company to record company.
I see.
It's Ford Records or whatever in Japan. They're the Frontiers. They make the deals.
I see.
And the artist gets paid for making the record and mechanicals and publishing and stuff like that. That's it. So.
Okay. So now I'd like to talk to you about the upcoming show, particularly the one in Dallas on the 21st.
Right.
What inspired you to do this show here in Dallas?
Well, I mean, I have a personal interest in this show. When I was really thrilled at the fact that they asked me to do it, number one. But my whole family was pretty much law enforcement. So I grew up around this and respecting the police. Now, look, I know there's corruption in every facet of America, and right now our government is showing itself very embarrassingly to the rest of the America that we are extremely at the highest level of corruption in our government. And I believe that's the same thing that's happening with the boys in blue. The blue lives do matter. And this is absolute absurdity that people think that they can walk around disrespecting the police the way they do. Now, look, I understand there are good cops, there are bad cops. There are good people, there are bad people. Black, white, yellow, green, it doesn't really matter. And they're making a huge racial effort here that I don't think existed since Selma, Alabama, and segregation and things like that. It's really blown out of proportion, and these officers are now being sort of, shall we say, ambushed.
Yeah.
It shows the complete lack of control that there is and respect in this country right now between people, government. There's just absolutely no feeling of any kind of pride or respect towards anyone. We have gone awry. We have lost God. We have lost ourselves. We are a nation out of control, and we really need to bring this in. And we don't need another term of Obama or Hillary to do this. I'm not a big Trump fan, but at the same time, we've got no other choice. Yeah. And he's the last great white hope, and that's what he is. Yeah. But he certainly will be better than 4 more years of Obama, because that's what Hillary will bring. So the boys in blue, you know, my uncles were detectives, firemen. They were in all sorts of community services. And this is really close to my heart because I can even tell you a story about going to the movies where a 14-year-old kid was spitting in a policeman's face and he couldn't do anything about it. Wow. Now, what kind of parents does this kid have? Yeah. It was unbelievable because I was in an altercation myself. Someone had stolen my seat at the movies. But really, the bigger thing was when the police were talking to me about this, because I wanted to have an altercation with this guy who took my seat. Sure. They said, look at this 14-year-old. He just spit in my face and I can't do anything about it. Called me all kinds of effing names. And I think that we need to straighten this out before it gets too late. It may even be too late right now. Honestly, we're really in that we are on the edge tomorrow.
Now, did your mom part of? Did she work as a dispatch?
Yeah, she worked in as a purser, I think. She was on the radio. She was a dispatcher. She was a dispatcher, dispatching cars, police cars and things. She knew all the codes, you know. My cousins, all of them, 4 boys, were all, like I said, detectives, firemen, sheriffs. My uncle was the chief of police in our town of Hackensack, New Jersey. And all of my other relatives subsequently became chiefs and mayors and things like that in government. So this is just horrifying that people can ambush cops or just show this kind of... I mean, if a cop says, drop your gun, you know? Well, he's going to shoot. So they're pushing this issue now, and they want to make the policemen look bad. I mean, I know that nowadays there is corruption in every department, but we still need to respect the police. This is our only line. It's the blue line of force between us and all of these criminals out there. And these guys give their lives for us every day. And I just think this is horrible. So I'm very proud to play this concert.
Fantastic. And I know that they are promoting it online on their official Facebook page and Twitter page. I just commend them for that. I remember the irony in this whole incident is the fact that they were protecting those protesters from the movement, quote unquote, Black Lives Matter movement, and then they were ambushed themselves.
So what a absolute betrayal.
It was. And also, too, and I remember, you know, from my research, I found a track that you wrote along with Bob Held and Stuart Smith called Life on the Line. Is there any chance you would perform it at the upcoming show in Dallas in honor of the
Well,
fallen police officers?
well, that's a whole other story because that song hasn't been brought up on stage since, well, I don't know, 20 years now. And the band right now doesn't have any time to learn it. Actually, they're all getting back from their tours, and I just talked to the guitarist today. So it's like, okay, we're going to meet Thursday morning and fly out and start. So no is the answer, the short answer, and the reason why is because people have very, very tight schedules. So no, we don't even have a chance to rehearse. We're going to go on blind and just start playing.
No problem. It's just it's but it's something that you have addressed, obviously, and I like the fact that sometimes you do that in some of your records. I know that one had appeared on Stuart Smith's Heaven and Earth album,
Right.
with someone else. I think it was Bobby Kimball who was singing that one.
Yeah, Bob Kimball sang that first from Toto. That's right. But yeah, I adjust a lot of this stuff. I adjust things about the military. I adjust, from Slam, you mentioned before, Cover Up. I'm in all kinds of social, political, geopolitical situations here, and some of the times it falls on deaf ears, to be honest with you, and nobody really wants to wake up and look around and see what's really happening, and that is very disappointing. There's love themes, there's different things, there's personal interaction themes, but mostly you've got to talk about social interaction and what's happening, because that's what an artist should do. Yeah. An artist should look around him and tell him, hey, this is what's going on, and hopefully his fans will pop their heads up and start to realize he's bringing us something that we should be aware of, and not just another love song or something like this. And some get it, some don't. It's sometimes disappointing, but at the same time, we still have to do it.
Absolutely, and I commend you for that. Speaking about musicians, you were talking to your guitarist this morning. Which musicians will be accompanying you on this mini tour here in the States?
Okay, we have Dr. Gary Gerber on keys. He's playing keys, and Gary is actually one of the leading ophthalmologists in the United States, who actually plays amazing keyboards. So he's going to be out with us. On guitar, we've got Steve Brown, who was originally from Trickster, but has played with Def Leppard. He takes Vivian Campbell's place. You've got Matt Starr on drums, and Matt has played with some very, very big people. You should just look up his Wikipedia or go to his page to find out all these amazing credits. And it's the same with Sean McNabb on bass. He's played with many, many people. These guys are LA guys, but they played with everybody from Alice Cooper, you name it, international stars. So I've got a really incredible band coming out.
Now,
and people have said that this is probably one of the best lineups I've played with.
Interesting, because you played with some hell of a lot of great lineups over the years, definitely. And I wanted to ask you how, in that same line of questioning, how do you usually choose which musicians you play with, either here or overseas?
Well, it starts with personality and integrity, and of course musicianship, and that's where it's got to end up, So that's the thing too. I get accused a lot of being playing with different musicians and not having a solid band, but I think that's passé. I think playing with different musicians gives me the opportunity to give someone else, a younger person perhaps, an opportunity to learn something from me, which I did from, say, Blackmore and Greber and all those guys. And it's the same thing as paying it forward. It's really important to develop younger talent, or perhaps other talents, and interact with other talents. Like, I've known all these guys for years. However, we've never played in this configuration before. And let me tell you, the shows that we did about a month or two ago, it's more like 2 months ago, this and in L.A., were just absolutely off the hook. And we went on with just a sound check, and we said, okay, guys, let's just go for it tonight. And they are so professional and so well-oiled, and that the shows were just criticized as incredibly great.
Good.
So that's what happened.
That's a
you
good.
Get some fresh blood going on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good criticism, anyways.
Yeah, all the criticisms were positive. They were like, "Wow, they were fantastic. If you ever get a chance to see these guys, go do it." So now we're going to play 3 dates in Texas, and at least these lucky people in these 3 cities, will obviously, get a chance to see us.
Now, I notice you don't have any other tour dates scheduled here for the States. Are you
Oh,
planning?
well, we don't put out tour dates until they're absolutely contracted and confirmed.
Okay.
But we do have dates. Yeah, we'll come. I'll be back. I'm going out to Europe again, and Spain and Denmark, and I'm going into Russia and Belarus and places like that. But around Thanksgiving, I'll be back, and I'll be playing some more dates in the United States for sure.
Well, let's we were spoke about this a little bit earlier, Joe. Are there any future projects or solo album on the horizon?
Well, yeah, that's I call it my secret project right now because it is pretty much secret, but I can tell you this. I just spent about 10 days writing. I was in Sweden with a very well-known producer and band member. He's not a band member, actually. He's the head of the band. But it's a new sound. It's a modern sound. It's got one foot in classic rock, and it's got one foot in the modern sound. And it's going to be something different and special that I will come out with, hopefully in the spring 2017. We are very excited. We've got about 3 tracks that we wrote, and we just looked at each other and said, "This is huge." People that we play for, of course, they have a non-disclosure on them, and they just feel that this stuff is just giant. They go, "This is something that everyone will love, everyone, no matter what genre you like."
Well,
Because we cover the gamut from metal. I call it melodic metal.
melodic metal. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely, as a longtime fan of yours, I definitely look forward to it, for sure. And I can't wait till it's released.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
And we'll
welcome.
be right more and putting this whole thing together. But it's going to be quite exciting to come out, sort of reinvent myself.
Fantastic, fantastic. Looking forward to it, Joe.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I have seen also some YouTube videos in which you play guitar for acoustic sets in the UK and elsewhere.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up the guitar?
Oh, I don't know. I must have been about 7 or 8. I played accordion before that. It was a very unsexy instrument. So my dad brought home a terribly unplayable acoustic guitar, but I learned to put my fingers where I had to and start strumming. And I have to give some of my relatives, my uncles, a little credit for that because my whole family was musical. So they helped me with that. And that's when I started playing the guitar. And then when I joined Rainbow, of course, we had Richie Blackmore on guitar. So it was pretty tough. And he looked at me and said, "You're going to be just singing." And I said, "Yeah, but what happened was I still have the credits that I'm the only guitar player who ever played guitar on stage with Blackmore. I played acoustic and electric with Blackmore on stage, and it was definitely a thrill to do that."
Well,